32%, but it wasn't an overwhelming lead versus Sanders. Versus, look at this African-American lane, right, where what you see is that Biden was winning among African-Americans by nearly 40 points over Sanders, and no one else even breaking double digits.
Yes, not until South Carolina in the primary calendar.
That's right. So if Biden wins a small win in Iowa, I think that's probably a very good thing for him, given what's down the road.
Can we talk about the viability threshold?
Yeah. So, what I want to talk about first is this is a little bit of the viability. We can talk about the viability threshold in here, but this is Iowa caucus's funky math. Remember, there's this share of delegates, and this is the first year in which you have virtual caucuses. You know, usually you have to go in and vote in person. This year you can vote via teleconference, via online. And what we see is that 90% of the delegates are being assigned to in-person versus 10% virtually. But here's the interesting thing. According to our poll, look at this. 72% say they're going to vote in person versus 28% online or virtually. And that's a big difference because, look, this is a very difference between how many delegates are being assigned and the share of voters. So that could be a very interesting one-person, one-vote thing. And in terms of the viability threshold that you were just talking about, John, what I would point out, you have all those candidates near 1% right now, and you need to get 15% of the vote or more when they reallocate those different people.
On caucus night.
On caucus night. And so what we could, in fact, see is that this entire thing, the share of delegates that actually come out versus the share of voters, could be very, very different. And this is the first year in which Iowa is going to report raw votes. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, how the media is exactly going to report voters versus delegates. A very weird thing going on.
Thank you for sharing all those secrets. You have one more up your sleeve.
I just want to share this with Mr. Berman. Can Berman's Boston Bruins win Game 7 at home? How often have teams won in all Game 7s? They have won 59% of the time, so that's a slight favorite. And Stanley Cups, so they've won 75% of the time. So, hey, maybe Boston, you might get another championship. Not that you need it.
I think the last two Cup finals, though, that went to Game 7s went to the visiting team. That's not a good thing.
See, John knows. John, you know your hockey.
He's got stuff in there.
A little pessimistic, though. You got to bring the optimism, John.
Thank you for being with us.